marriage.
So I don't consider myself to be traditional. I don't consider so in modernity, I'm not sure that we can really have traditionalism anymore. So that, like, the ideas you guys are going back and forth on about things like chivalry, chivalry is now inconsequential. There's no incentive for men to be chivalrous. So chivalry used to be done for the purpose of a virtuous woman, who was chaste and who was following kind of higher virtues. And you showing your forms of chivalry were showing yourself as being a good mate, right? Or that you had virtues equal to hers. That's why she would select you. But I see no reason for men to be chivalrous at all. In modernity, if women have equality, that makes no sense.
She says what? So you disagree?
I'm not a feminist in any. I don't subscribe to feminism.
Guarantee it, you do. Guarantee.
No, I'm not about the. I don't believe men and women are equal and should be equal. I think they're different. I think they're equal. Their roles are equally as important. I just think they're different. So
then they're equal.
No, their roles are just as important as the other role, but totally different.
That sounds like equality to me.
I don't think we should be.
If I was, let's say I was a CEO of a company, and I went to two people and I said, your roles are completely equal but different. Do you think that those two people now think the other person's the boss or has higher value than them or anything like that? Or do you think that they think they're equal?
No, I just think that.
Can you answer my question real quick?
You confused me. Say it again.
Yeah, so if your boss came to you and said, your role is different than this other person you're working with, but just as important, right?
Yeah.
Hasn't he just established equality between the two of you?
I think they're equal in importance.
Yeah, so they're equal.
They're just as important as the other. So maybe equal in a sense, but I don't think you should treat men and women equally. Like I don't think women should be like holding the door for men or protecting men or going to war. Like,
what? You don't believe that women should protect and care for their partners
in a sense
to the same extent?
In a sense, I don't think women should be the one who go and fight.
No,
you know what I mean?
Draft them up. Draft the women.
Well,
help
holding the door?
Huh? Well, I mean, if he's behind me, I'll hold it. I'm just saying that I'm not going to act like a man. I'm not going to go around and open the door for him and walk him to his car. And I'm not going to.
In this world, if my partner, if we were parked in a sketchy spot and he was going to walk alone, sure, I'll walk him to his car. What the heck? Okay.
Just very, very quickly back to this. So I understand. I think I understand what you're saying. So to be as charitable as I can be to you, you're just saying look, men and women are completely different.
Yeah.
Right. But they're similar in value. Right.
Correct.
They're similar in value. Okay.
Correct.
I get it. But if you agree then that men and women are different, shouldn't they have different privileges in society?
Give me an example.
Like, for instance, why should women vote?
Yeah, I don't think we should take it to that extreme. I think women are.
But wait,
women are pretty intelligent and can make.
Wait! I thought you wanted the privilege of men to fight wars. So why do you get to vote on whether or not they go and fight them?
I think women can vote because they're pretty intelligent and they can make a simple decision on who should run the country.
So they get to vote to make men go and fight wars on their behalf, so that sounds like a position of privilege to me. It sounds like feminism.
Well, you have to also think about if a woman's on the front lines.
Let her answer. Before the sisterhood gets involved, we'll get everybody in. I promise. I would just like to real quick finish the exchange, right? Do you think that men should be able to, or women should be able to vote to send men to war?
To vote to send men to war?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think men should go to war. I don't know about voting for it.
Yeah, do you think women should go to war?
No.
Then you have put women in a position of privilege. Do you see? Because what you've said now is that women should be allowed to vote for you to go to war, but they themselves will never have to fight the war that they voted you to go and fight. Now, do you understand why you're actually talking about a distinction of privilege rather than, you're not even talking about equality now. Now we've passed that. Now we've gotten into feminist privilege. the idea of men and women are different, so me as a woman, I deserve shit because men can do things I can't do.
I didn't say I deserve shit. I'm just saying.
Well, do you deserve to have
women? Fight
and protect you?
I think men should fight to protect. Men are the protectors and the providers. They're stronger than us.
Then why is it that women get a say in how they conduct that fighting and protection?
I don't know. Do they get a say in that?
Yes, they can vote. Can women vote in female politicians who can authorize war acts?
Can't male politicians do that too?
Sure. And can women vote those politicians in?
Yeah, I mean, I voted for a male.
So then what you're saying is that women can essentially vote, like let's say a politician runs on a platform. Let's say a politician runs on a platform of, I'm going to go to war with this country over here, okay? Whatever country that is. And all of the men vote against that politician, but all the women vote for him. In her scenario, what would end up happening is men would have to go and fight the war that they didn't want to go fight on behalf of women, and women themselves would not have to participate in said war. Right?
I mean, I think women have a lot of roles in the military. It doesn't have to be limited to combat time.
First? Before you shift, can you answer my question first?
Okay, can you restate it?
Theoretically, isn't it the case that if women all voted for a single politician and all the men voted against him, right? You do realize women outnumber men, right? And that politician wanted to go to war, then men would have to go and fight the war, and women would be the ones who voted them in to go and fight it, right?
I mean, in a sense, but that could happen reversed.
No, there's no in a sense. Isn't it the case that if all the women voted for that person, all the men voted against that person, they're in office, they could send men off to war?
Yes. Yes, they could, yes. Absolutely.
So then, and they themselves would not have to fight that war, right?
Mm-hmm.
The women.
The women.
I mean, I know a lot of women who have gone to wars and fought.
Okay. So the thing is she says women shouldn't fight in wars, right? We're using her worldview. So let's say in this society, women don't fight in any wars, right? And they don't right now, by the way, in this society. They don't fight in frontline combat or in the infantry. They're not allowed to. But we're just giving her worldview. She doesn't believe women should fight in wars. If that's the case, why should women be able to vote to send men to fight wars? That's my question.
Because you're not only voting for war, you're voting for all their policies too. The economy, jobs, I mean, the whole nine. War is just an aspect of it. I mean, you might be,
shouldn't, okay, great. Well, then why shouldn't women go and fight wars then?
I mean, I know a lot of women who were on the front lines.
No, you don't know any woman who are on the front line fighting any war anywhere. You don't know a single one.
I can name two right now.
Because women are home taking care of the
You don't know any. They're not allowed to fight in frontline combat. They're not allowed to. They're not allowed.
They are.
No, they're not. Where?
Middle East a few years ago. At least the two that I know. Yeah, they have combat hours.
They can run convoy security. They can run support roles. They're not allowed to fight in frontline combat. They're not allowed to.
Do you have military experience?
I'm just telling you. I'm explaining to you that that's how it works right this second.
Right.
Do you think women can be drafted?
I think women could be drafted, but I also...
Wait, hold on. Currently, can women be drafted?
Not currently.
So why do you say they could be?
Because it could be, the law could be changed eventually.
Well, I mean, you could say that about anything. Currently,
it
though,
could, but
women are currently exempt under the law from being drafted.
But you also have to consider if I'm fighting next to a 6'4" man and he goes down, my ability to rescue him
next to anybody.
Is this is in theory. My ability to rescue him if shit hits the wall is diminished. So do men really want women next to them in frontline combat roles? Is that really fair to them?
I thought you just said that you knew a bunch of women who are in frontline combat roles.
I do. I know too.
And are they capable of dragging the 6'6" guy out of there?
Probably not.
Then why the fuck are they there?
Because the army told them to be there.
No, the army didn't send them off to frontline combat. It's absurd. Okay, women have been in combat situations. That's true. But if you look, all you have to do is look at the numbers of the amount of men who die in wars, even modern ones in Iraq, Afghanistan versus women. Very few women die because they're not sent to combat situations. It's not to say they can't be in one. That does happen, right? But it's not because they're sent specifically to do that job. Now, the thing is like, just to explain this to you so that you understand, pretend for a moment, just pretend that women, we're just going from her view. She says, I don't want women in the military, right? That's what she's saying. Okay, so if women aren't in the military, then theoretically then, in this isolated example, if women voted for war, they would be in a position of privilege because they would never have to fight that war, right?
I mean, what you're saying is correct, but there's so much more that goes into choosing who to vote for rather than just war.
Great, we'll have a great economy, and they get to send the men off to war. Fantastic. That's wonderful. But the thing is like, it sounds like a privilege is being given, whether or not you're voting for multiple reasons. There's still a privilege being given to women that men don't have. That's my point. And so it's almost like having your cake and eating it too, in a sense.
Well, I agree, and I think that there are a lot of privileges that women have that men don't. And that's just, I mean, men and women are equal in some areas, but they're not equal in every area. And that's fine. That's how it should be.
Let's read this from...
Are men not equal in?
I mean, women have kids. Women have the babies, men don't. You know,
I'm sorry, does that require the genetic material from men?
I'm sorry?
Does that require the genetic material from men in order to have a baby?
Well, yeah, I mean, they don't have the same parts as women.
So then the idea that a woman simply has a uterus, and by the way, it can't be that hard if every woman can do it, right? How hard could it be?
Well, I'm not saying it's difficult to have kids. It's not the argument I'm making.
Yeah, right. It's not that hard, right? So the thing is like they need the genetic material from men, and they do carry the child inside of them for 9 months. That's true. And then post a child being born, you definitely require a man if you want to have like a functioning two-parent household and then well-adjusted children, right?
No, I agree with you, and I believe in a two-parent household, and I believe in having a sense of family, and I think feminism really destroys a sense of family. But, you know, there's just roles that women should have, and there's roles that men should have.
You really think that, do you? Well, like,
Michael Jones donated $200. Women are serving in almost exclusively non-combatant roles. For context, the very first enlisted female graduated the Army's infantry course this year, after they lowered the physical standards.
And
Thank you, Michael Jones.
War because that would be problematic. But the thing is I just got to ask you this. What actually do you disagree with feminists about? Name one thing you actually disagree with them about. What?
I mean, there's a ton that I disagree with feminism
give me
about.
one.
I think that it's wrong to declare war on men, to say that all men are bad and women should be more privileged than men. That's a terrible ideology.
It's not what feminism is. Feminism is just the reduction of patriarchy for the purposes of egalitarianism.
Yeah, it's destroying families, and I disagree with destroying families.
Yeah, but how is it doing that? What is the thing? What is the actual name a policy that you think is a feminist policy that is destroying families?
I mean, stating that women don't need men, I ain't need no man. I think that's a ridiculous argument.
There's no United States policy of women don't need no man.
Well, are we talking about like U.S. policies, or are we talking about feminism?
What is the actual feminist legislation that you would disagree with?
I wasn't talking about actual legislation. I was talking about the society ends of feminism.
Okay, so just on the social aspect then, we'll leave legislation out of it. Just on the social aspect, if feminists say, I'm a feminist, but I still believe men have value, and I still believe that men have value to society, what would your quarrel with them be?
I mean, I don't really think that that's a full-on feminist then. I think that there's an appreciation for women, and I think that there's an extreme feminism view, which is destroying families, all men are bad.
Well, then here's my last question, very quickly, last question. Then I just got to ask you, what is a feminist?
I would consider a feminist somebody that has a hatred against men, like F the patriarchy, I don't want a family, I don't want a man, I want to go hook up with whoever.
What's the difference between that and standard progressive then?
Not too much. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with standard progressivism.
No, what I'm saying is like, it sounds to me like what you're doing is you're conflating woke with what feminist ideology is. These are two very different things. And I think that people do this often. They conflate woke because they don't like these blue-haired, sky-screeching lunatics who are
I
like,
don't.
men are evil, blah, 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 blah. I get that. I understand not
I
liking
think they're all
woke,
crazy.
But feminist ideology, I very much think that you probably ascribe to.
I
Actual
agree with
feminist
womanhood to a sense, but I don't think that womanhood should be all men are bad, we don't need men. I disagree with that argument because I think women absolutely need men, and I think that men and women complement each other. And I think that a happy marriage is a fulfillment in life, having a family and kids.
I consider complementarianism to be feminism. See, if you're trying to reduce the patriarchy, you would do it by saying, hey, men and women are complementarian, and then you would say they're equals to each other. We need to have an egalitarian society. I would consider that to be feminism. Complementarianism
I guess I
would consider feminism.
I would disagree with that. I would think that men and women do complement each other, but I also think that I am a follower to my
but
man.
who should be in charge?
My man is, absolutely.
Yeah, so then patriarchy, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying I disagree with the patriarchy. That's not the argument I was
Are you in
making at
favor?
all.
Why should women be able to vote if you believe in a strong patriarchy?
Because women should still have a say in the matter, but in a family sense, my man is the leader. I'm still a strong woman. You know, I run a business.
One big family.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
The nation's one big family, right?
I don't consider the nation one big family.
No. So what is patriotism? Isn't that the idea that we're all interconnected inside of our nation? We're all part of this big family we call the United States, right? Like, if you were in a foreign nation and someone's like, hey, you're from the United States? And you said, yeah, wouldn't that be, you guys would bond over that right away, right?
You would, but you don't bond over everything. You know, I mean,
No, but you bond over that because it's like one big happy family. So I'm just saying, if you're pro-patriarchy, if you're actually pro-patriarchy, wouldn't you want the patriarchs in charge of shit?
I'm not really sure if I would agree with that or not. I want my man in charge. I think that my man is the leader and I'm the follower, but I think in a sense of who's running the country, I think that's a little bit more important than what's going on in my personal home.
A little bit of feminism coming out there, a little bit of that egalitarian feminism. So you want to see a reduction in patriarchy because you don't want the leadership of your nation to be patriarchal. Because you want
I don't want the leadership of my nation to be poor.
In other words, you want women to be able to usurp the authority of men. That's anti-patriarchal, right?
I just don't want I don't want my nation to be poor, and I think if that, a lot of women might make poor choices in voting, but a lot of men might also make poor choices in voting. You know, it just depends on who the current politician is. And
let me just explain to you, just very quickly, that if only men could vote, let's say tomorrow, there would never be another progressive elected for as long as you ever lived. Ever.
I would probably agree with that.
There would be absolutely zero progressive policy which was ever pushed anywhere. The idea of the T's and all of that, gone instantly. It'd be gone overnight. You'd never have to worry about it again. The idea of the security of women's sports, done. The idea of all 99% of the problems that you would rage about is because you want to usurp the authority of the patriarchy.
I'm Canadian, and I just want to say that the prime minister, sitting prime minister, is very progressive, and he's a male. So I'm curious what your opinion on him is.
Yeah, and who voted for him? Women.
Not me.
It was a bunch of women. And if
that's not always
women
women.
had voted in the Canadian, if
Tons of
women
liberal
had
men.
voted in Canada, guess what? Justin Trudeau wouldn't have happened.
Fair.
But instead they were like, he's so handsome. he's such a handsome guy, and he's so suave, and blah, blah, blah. And so they voted him in. If they hadn't voted, there wouldn't be a Justin Trudeau. He wouldn't be there.
We have a couple chats here. We have